Hey everybody, John Gums, Dakota Grappler, going live here on a Wednesday night. This is our intro show for the 21-22 wrestling season, and my special guest tonight is Evan Forde. I tell you what, it's going to be a great night. Bill will be coming with us shortly. He'll be popping on, and he's got lots of interview questions. But I have my screen up here, guys. If the first time you've been here to Dakota Grappler, I know some people the first time, you can always go over to the website, dakotagrappler.com, and I've got lots and lots of things you can look at. I do research every week and finding technique. I got Motivation Monday stuff, Throwback Thursday. In fact, I've done some videotape and I've talked to a lot of different coaches and get approval for people to put their stuff up online. We got, of course, interviews with Terry Troy Steiner. Today, this is actually our 146th episode of Dakota Grappler Live. And we've had Coach Forde on here a couple different times. So this will basically be second nature for him. He's been coaching for a while. And I just want to start off by welcoming you to this year and a new wrestling season. You know, we're all bright and shiny compared to 2020, 2021 and the COVID season. So, yeah, give us our first impression. You had your first opportunity to see your guys in the room, and then we'll talk about your team. So tell us what you're thinking about coming into this wrestling season.
Well, it's kind of an odd year, just having everybody back. I think all of our starters are back, and so that's pretty nice. And then getting all the new guys in and just actually having a real preseason again was a lot of fun. I think part of what we missed out on last year was just a lot of the group events that you do outside of the wrestling room and getting out to games and tailgating and doing all that stuff. Last year we kind of missed out on that, and that's a big part of coming together as a team. So it's been really good, and we're really high on our freshman class as well. I think we brought in some awesome individuals who have really kind of come in and just bought right into our culture, and it's a fun group to work with.
Yeah. So I tell you what. So now, tell me your coaching staff right now. Who's working with you?
My head assistant that I've had the last 3 years, Chase Jackson, over the summer got hired as the head coach at Southwest Minnesota State. So, exciting move for him out there. And so we're looking around for a while there. We had a head women's coach available, head men's assistant, and graduate assistant, both for our men's program. So, it ended up working out really well. We hired Brittany and Tim Mitchum. So Brittany Mitchum is our new head women's coach, and her husband Tim is my new assistant coach. And they both have a lot of experience coaching out east and at the NAIA level. Tim, I think, was the head coach for the last 6 seasons at Bruton Parker College out there in Georgia, and had a number of All-Americans out there, had a national finalist last season. So he's got a lot of experience. And so it ended up being just a great fit to find both of them to come in here and kind of fill those spots. And we've got Liam Hayden as our graduate assistant coach, and we've got several guys helping out as volunteer assistants as well. So everything kind of came together for us.
Well, I tell you what, that got kind of scary in July there. I did notice you had the openings, and I'm going, you know what? It's not always so easy, but it's, you were mentioning earlier that it seemed late, but actually imagine now trying to look for a coach. And we'll talk about that some later too. So tell us your numbers right now. How are your numbers looking?
I think we got 41 right now. So
that's phenomenal. That's a great number. I did look through your stuff. I like asking you, but I looked and I about went, whoa, it's different than having 20. Having 40 is.
Yeah, it's a lot. We've been trying to keep our numbers really high. We're definitely enrollment driven. And I think now that we've added a women's program, I think we'll kind of balance out a little bit. Maybe won't carry quite as many in the future, but it's nice to have. It's just it's a lot to manage. It's a lot of guys to have in our practice room, but yeah, it's a good group. They make life pretty easy on me.
The thing that I like about it the most is the opportunity for people to wrestle in college. Some people think they don't have that opportunity. And if you look and you start asking around, there are colleges just like Minot that willing to take you guys in. And if they're willing to work, come on to the program.
Yeah, it's a tough transition, but it really does come down to just how hard you're willing to work for it. And we've had plenty of guys come in that maybe wouldn't be expected to really do well at this level, but you spend 2-3 years really working at it, and it's definitely doable.
Yep. Well, I tell you what, you've got some experience back, at least at the bigger weights, and some other things from last year. Tell us about some of your starters that are coming back and looking for, getting through that super region and probably the toughest region that I can think of. I every time I look at your super region, it is a barn burner to try to get out of that place.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a pretty tough tournament. Obviously, that's kind of what we look forward to, all year long, is performing our best at that tournament. So, we've got Oscar Nellis had a really good year last year. Last couple of years, he's been in our lineup at 125 and 133 for several years now. And he, we're looking for a big year out of him. I know at the region he lost in the semis a 1-point match to Jones out of Moorhead, and then lost an overtime match in the wrestlebacks to Anderlick of Upper Iowa. And those guys, I think, are both All-Americans. And so, he's right in there, and we got he had a great off season, so it's time to just kind of take that next step and get through and get to that national tournament. And I feel the same way about, several other guys. Our 141 pounder, Lincoln Stormer, he was in there last year for us and had a lot of good wins, and we're looking for him to really step up. Shadi Mitwali was our one champion at the Jimmy Open this last weekend, and he was off to a great start last year, and had a really tough injury in our duel down in Bismarck with Mary, and had to have surgery and a long recovery, and he just did a great job of that, and he's come back even stronger. Really looking for him to have a big year. Nathan Bach is another returning starter at 157 who had a close loss in the semifinals at the region last year. And those guys are team captains right through the middle there for us. So definitely counting on those guys in the bottom half of our lineup. Of course, Jordan Will, was a former region champion, had a kind of medical redshirt year for an injury, and came back last year. Maybe just didn't finish real well at that region, but
not an easy weight class.
Loaded.
Yeah.
We had the national champion, and I think guy who took third, also in that weight. So tough bracket, but I think if he's wrestling well at the right times, he's definitely got All-American potential. So, but yeah, and there's a lot of weight classes that are still up for grabs for us right now too. A lot of freshmen making a push, so we're really excited to see how those kind of shake out.
Awesome. I tell you what, I'm going to type something here real quick. So those people out there watching on Facebook and on YouTube, as we're live here, feel free to participate. You can ask questions. If I have an opportunity, if they're good, maybe you never know. I've got some Dakota Grapplers. I just went to print today, 7:30 this morning, and I have some digital versions that I might be able to give out tonight to some people. If people ask some questions, feel free to do that. And when you're done, I'll make sure you add your email address to your question. And if I use it, I'll probably send you a Dakota Grappler tonight or tomorrow in the next days or so. I got to set it up just a little bit, but it's just something for you guys out there that are watching. A couple more things. Now, you guys just wrestled at Jamestown. Tell me about your competition there and, some of the things that stood out to you at Jamestown this past weekend.
Well, it was a little bit smaller tournament. The Cobber Open was being run on the same day, or the Finn Gunniker Open at Concordia. But we did have some conference opponents there with Augustana. Some of the Northern State guys were there, and then, of course, Jamestown. And then there were, a couple other teams, Dakota Wesleyan, Wayne. So the brackets weren't necessarily huge, but there was some good competition, and it was a good, I think our overall record was 50 wins and 35 losses. So anytime you're, winning more matches than you're losing, it's kind of a fun day. So I think we put 6 in the finals and 5 in for third and fourth. We had some potential starters that we were holding back just a little bit, make sure they're healthy before we start putting them out there. But pretty good day overall. I thought our guys really competed hard. And I thought our conditioning looked really good, and there's always going to be your first time out. There's going to be some technical issues you got to fix. And, that's what's fun about it. You go out each week and, you take what you can learn from it. You watch some film, and right now, as long as our season is, it's just a matter of keeping your focus on improvement and enjoying the process and enjoying the competition and just staying, committed to coming in every day and maximizing your time in the practice room and getting everything you can out of that and continuing to get better.
Now, not being naive or anything, but is there any major rule changes that have happened this year for you guys?
For college, I would say the big one is the overtime. It's now a 2-minute sudden death in the first overtime, and then if you go to a second overtime, you do the 30-30 top bottom. But whoever has more riding time after that 30-30 wins the match. So if you have 1 second or more riding time after that first set of 30-second goes, you win that match. So if it ends up at 0 seconds, like there's 2 ride outs, then you'd go back to a minute on your feet again. So that the overtime, that's probably the main rule that you'll notice.
Sure. I tell you what, overtime was not I wasn't a fan of it myself as a wrestler. More as a fan. But couple questions when it comes to how you start your season out on focus. A little coaching philosophy. Is there a certain area you like to focus on first? If you're going on your feet, I know it's a big transition, riding again in college. Some kids are used to getting it and then also not be able to get out. Is there a specific, philosophy you have on coaching in that area?
Yeah. So, I break it down into kind of neutral offense, neutral defense, top and bottom. And we kind of go through as a staff and prioritize, list each position and what we think is, most important and kind of list out, what we want to get to throughout the season. And then we try to, we'll work on something and we make sure that we got it down right before we move on, and kind of work our way through that. But really we're doing, early on in our preseason, we're doing a lot of drilling, and a lot of it's just kind of getting your body used to going through that daily grind again and just, being in shape enough to start really getting into live. I think the guys come in, they want to wrestle a lot of live early on. And, I think we kind of hold them back a little bit and make sure that we've got a good base built and before we kind of turn them loose on that stuff. But we do a lot of sparring in the room, kind of sparring, play wrestling, different positions, and just
hard cut drilling where you after you take them down there.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean.
Yep. We'll get into some real hard drilling, but we definitely try to work in a lot of sparring. I just think you watch like our Olympic team practice, and it's not a whole lot of one person standing still and the other person taking a shot. They're moving and wrestling a little bit with each other. There's some give and take there, and getting into some different positions. And so we try to work a lot of that into our practices. And I think it's fun. So,
Now break away from your team a little bit. We had a big off season. We had the Olympics. We got a lot of, world championships. Is there any particular match or anything that really stuck out to you in some of that stuff?
Yeah. Well, I
loved the Olympics. It was insane. We wrestled really well, both the men and women.
Yeah, it was great. And the World Championships were really, really great to watch too. Obviously some great matches there with Snyder and Sajulayev, but
yep.
you know, I think Taylor scoring at the end of that Olympic gold medal match was pretty amazing. And at heavyweight too, I mean, what a crazy win we had there. So a lot of fun. I follow that as closely as possible, and I had the opportunity to go out to the World Championships a few years ago in Paris when the Americans won it for the first time in a long time, and that was a pretty neat experience. And that came down to Snyder and Sajulayev at the end, and Snyder got him that time. So I definitely paid pretty close attention to those matches. But yeah, it was a blast watching those.
Well, I tell you what, that'd been awesome out in Paris. That
was a fun trip.
Do you go as a family? Go with your dad?
No, I went with my assistant coach Jake Kettler at the time.
Sure.
But Pat Smith is a buddy of ours who made the Greco team that year, so that was kind of what led us to make a trip of it.
Okay. Well, Todd Gannon's got a question. Let's see what he says. What are your go-to condition drills early season? Does it change throughout the season? More intense early, more intense later on?
Good question. I think we try to sort of escalate as we work our way through, you know, our preseason. I've gone away from a lot of distance running, gotten away from running a little bit in general. You know, if we're going to run, we're probably going to be hitting a hill or hitting some sprints or some stairs or some buddy carries. Some of those things, keep it really explosive. But really, we're trying to get the majority of our conditioning in the wrestling room. You know, early in the year, it's nice to be able to get outside. Maybe we'll do some running. We'll run to the park, stop, do some hand fighting, some pommeling, some different upper body stuff. But we really try and get our conditioning in the practice room. You know, we'll add sprints and stuff at the end of practice, but you know, we're trying to wrestle, you know, as much as possible. You get into wrestling shape by wrestling.
Mm-hmm. Now, as I look at your sizes, do you have a focus on, you know, like numbers you want per weight class, or are you just? I noticed you have a kind of a bulk in certain areas, or how are you doing that?
Well, I mean, that's just kind of how it works out. I think sometimes with guys growing and guys, you know, getting stronger, and so we've got, I think, 7 guys at 141 and like 7 guys at 174, and so, you know, we're talking to a couple of those guys about maybe you know, get 1 or 2 guys to go down to 65, maybe have 1 or 2 move up to 84 to start to balance it out. So we'll start to look a little more balanced as, you know, throughout the season, but it just kind of worked out that way, you know. So we got certain weights that we're going to have to focus on, you know, with recruiting this year. You know, I think we lose a senior at our top 3 weights, 84, 97, and heavyweight. So we're definitely looking to bring in, you know, some bigger guys with this year's class. But we try to keep that as balanced as possible. But, you know, sometimes it just works out that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So not to give any secrets away, but do you have a system on how you start recruiting?
Yeah. I mean, we have territories that we focus on. I really like I try and usually do a lot in the summer. I really like recruiting the guys that are competing, you know, out at those off-season tournaments. And I wasn't able to get to junior duels this summer because of a wedding, but I usually try and get on the North Dakota staff for that and for the Nationals camp in Bismarck and the tournament in Fargo. And so we try to do a lot of recruiting at those and find those guys that are, you know, committed and competing in the off season. And you know, just a couple weeks ago I went to the Freak Show tournament in Vegas. You know, it's great to see. We pay close attention to those preseason tournaments and results, and we watch a lot of film on those. You know, and then of course we kind of start here in North Dakota and then kind of branch out from there. But yeah, I mean, if you look at our roster, it might look like there's no rhyme or reason to it, but I think we got guys from 18, 19 different states on the roster. So, and a couple from other countries. So, it's just sort of happened that way. Sometimes you just find some connections, and like we got a lot of guys from Southern California. Well, we found a connection early on, and really that's how we've been able to keep getting those guys from that area. So, yeah, there's definitely a system, but sometimes you find a connection somewhere where you didn't expect it, and you run with it.
Well, my small stint of coaching in college at Valley City State, we had a couple connections in Alaska. So you'd find that we had lots of wrestlers coming from there, and you just start bringing one in, and it brings a friend, and the next thing you know, maybe they'll get hooked on with football or something else there, and it feeds. I tell you what, and word of mouth makes a big difference. You do a good thing with one wrestler, it's going to bring somebody else.
Yeah, we had an Alaskan connection somehow, and at Moorhead there too. I had quite a few teammates from
yeah. So. Well, welcome, Bill. See you pop in. Everybody who's out there watching,
a little bit late, guys.
Hey, no problem. I tell you what, Bill, it's been a good start here. We just talking a little about Minot State and how they've got so many kids. I counted 40, but he said 41 when I went through the list. Wow. I was going, that is phenomenal, and his room is packed right now. And I did look at the results in Jamestown. They're very successful and getting some matches in. And I didn't realize they got 85 matches in, so that's huge. That's getting mat time. You think of last year and all the COVID stuff, and just making sure guys get mat time was kind of huge, and that'll open up big time. So, Bill, we didn't even really introduce ourselves too much. I guess I'm John Gums. We're actually 20 minutes into it. I've done this so many times. I'm owner and editor of Dakota Grappler. I've done this since 1999. The YouTube show, basically, probably the last 5 years or so, I've started to put some stuff in there. Bill and I have been together, what, about 3 years?
Yeah, I think so.
And doing lots of shows. Bill, I call him my right hand college man. He knows everything. He got me back in the college scene, knowing all the college wrestlers. And I don't know why I was missing it at the deep level. Now I'm hooked. I mean, I've been watching the U23s. I was on Flow watching all the world stuff. A guy just signed today at Wisconsin. I actually knew who he was. Before it actually started, I knew he was a junior. He took second in the junior cadets world, and it just keeps going. Wrestling is one of these things that I don't think I could live without. It's my life. I don't know. Bill, introduce yourself a little bit.
Yeah, I'm Bill Holtan. I'm just been around the sport a lot of years, I guess. Everything from a wrestler to a coach to a dad to just a fan, and follow wrestling at all levels and enjoy every level, and it's good just to follow a lot of different teams and watch these guys come through, and see them, Evan's team, and seen a lot of those guys from the time that they were true freshmen, and some of them now are fifth-year seniors, or maybe might have some sixth-year seniors now on the squad. So it was fun watching the results this week, and I couldn't make it to Jamestown, but I do plan on going to the Bison Open to watch those guys there. So yeah, it's just fun to watch and follow the sport.
Definitely. And Evan, I got a question because I didn't get into it. Tell people your background, where you grew up. I know you're from a wrestling family. Tell us some information about you there.
Yeah, I grew up in Fargo, and my dad Lynn was the coach at Fargo South for many years, and he was actually originally from Minot, so graduated from Bishop Ryan High School. So we do have some Minot connections, but went to school at NDSU and then stayed in Fargo after that. So, but I wrestled at Minnesota State Moorhead for 5 years, and then spent 3 years at Southwest Minnesota State as a grad assistant, and then was back in Moorhead as an assistant just for 1 year when this job came open in Minot, and threw my name in the hat for it, and here we are 7 years later. So, but really enjoy it out here, and love my job, and so yeah.
Well, I waited for Bill to get here to ask this question. Tell me how you guys now are transitioning to add this women's team this year.
Yeah, I mean, we're just really excited about it. This is something I've been, kind of pushing for since I started here, and it kind of gained some steam for a little while, and then, just kind of COVID and everything happened, and then I was a little surprised when our administration came to me about trying to maybe pitch it and move forward with it, and so we had a lot of good help from Terry Steiner and Mike Moyer at the NWCA, and gave us a lot of good resources, and we were able to put together a good pitch for it, and it happened pretty quick. We hired a coach here over the summer, and she's busy recruiting. She's got recruits on, every weekend, and like I mentioned, her husband's my assistant, so we're keeping them busy, and they just had a baby here a couple weeks ago, so they're plenty busy right now. But
they just had a wrestler. You mean it doesn't matter boy or girl?
That's right. It's a boy, but it would be a wrestler either way. So, but no, I just think it's really good. It's something that, honestly, this should have been something we were pushing decades ago, and so I almost feel like we're a little late to the game on it. But growing girls wrestling and women's wrestling is the key to continue to grow men's wrestling. And I think you're seeing a lot of these schools that are adding women's wrestling are schools that are adding men's and women's together, because now you've got that gender equity there. And so
Title IX fits.
Yep. And so you got both sides of that, and you can share a practice space, and a lot of schools, I think, share, some of their coaching staff works with both, and it's, relatively inexpensive, sport to have for an athletic department, and you can bring in big numbers. So if, for any enrollment driven university, it's pretty attractive, sport to add now, especially that we have that female equivalency. And so now we got to really keep growing it from the ground up. We got to get young girls out. We got to get these programs going in middle schools, high schools. Obviously, it is progressing at the high school level with different states sanctioning the sport, like North Dakota is now this year. And those are big steps, but there's a lot of opportunity. This is a good time to be a high school girl that, maybe wants to pursue wrestling into the college level, because you've got a lot of schools that are new that have a lot of open roster spots, and they've got scholarship money. And, if it continues to grow at this level, we got to continue to grow it at all levels, and it's going to keep going.
Okay. Well, Ben's had a question here. How much of a difference is there in recruiting for a new program like your new women's program? I'm guessing versus what you do right now.
Yeah, I'm not going to be recruiting really for our women's program, but it would be, starting from scratch. I mean, there's a couple ways to look at it. You got a lot of work to do. You're going to be hitting the road a lot. You're going to be spending a lot of time on recruiting. But at the same time, you get an opportunity to start fresh. You get an opportunity to start building things the way you want it. You get to build the culture you want. And you get to, so I think there's something that is sort of appealing about that. I kind of treated it that way when I started here. We had fairly small roster numbers and had some seniors and had some turnover. And so that's kind of how I tried to treat it. It was kind of starting from scratch and trying to build things the right way, get the right people in, and get people in that are focused on being students first and then athletes, and people that are wrestling is a part of their lifestyle.
Well, I tell you what, you're almost a savvy veteran now, Coach.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. Well, Bill, you got any quick questions for him?
Yeah, I just I'm excited to talk about how the growth you've had. How the program was not in great shape when you got there. I don't think that probably is any secret, right? I mean, numbers and quality, and the quality has just continued to grow, and obviously with 41 kids in the room is phenomenal. So just want to kind of congratulate you on that. It's been fun to watch. So, but I do have a question when we start talking about we come off this COVID year, and I don't know, you probably had a lot of kids that had I don't know, 7 matches, 8 matches, maybe after through the regional 12 or whatever, Sure. And I kind of wonder how you see that being different, this year where we're going to we should have basically a normal year, right? It feels like, but it's, I wonder if you saw a real hunger for those guys to compete when they got on the mat last year, because there was such a, matches are at such a premium.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. It was a tough year, I think, especially for some of the younger wrestlers. I mean, it's, like I said earlier, first off, they missed that whole preseason aspect of it. Not completely. I mean, we were able to do some workouts where you're in small groups and stuff, but you miss that team aspect right away starting out. And then, it's a lot of work going through a season without getting out there and competing. And so, thankfully we were able to run some, exhibition matches or extra matches during our duels and get some of our guys some extra matches. And like, we dueled Mary twice and we did a full JV duel at both of those. So we were able to find some ways to get some guys on the mat, but yeah, they were hungry coming back, some of these guys, their high school season was impacted, by everything last year too. So I think everybody was eager to get back out and start competing again. It's hard to stay patient, and we had some guys that took advantage of some spring tournaments last year, got in some freestyle and Greco competition, but really it's been a long time since we've been able to take full teams out to these open tournaments, and it felt good to get back out there for sure.
Yeah, I bet. So it was fun to watch your inter-squad duel, if we call it. I guess I'm not sure if it. I'm sure it serves as a wrestle-off in some respect, but boy, there was a lot of good wrestling. I mean, a lot of scrapping. Guys were going hard. Really looked like conditioning was pretty good, I thought. So that was kind of fun to watch. And one guy I did not see, and I'm kind of wondering about, is Jordan Will. Are we going to see Jordan on the mat sometime soon, or?
Yeah, he's got his last football game this weekend.
Okay, so that's what I was wondering, if that's what was holding up. I wasn't sure. I wasn't 100% sure if he was still playing football. So.
Right. Yeah, we have actually all of our heavyweights are playing football right now. So we're looking forward to getting them back. And we're definitely looking for a big year out of Jordan for sure.
Yeah, that's good.
Well, I just threw up your schedule up there. Let's talk through this just a little bit on what's coming up in the near future here, because you just had the Jimmy Open last weekend, and looking at the results, if people have an opportunity, go over to the Minot website. You can definitely click on everything. They do a great job keeping track of everything that's going on. And you guys, how many guys are you going to take to the Bison Open this weekend?
It's looking like probably about 25 again, which is about what we took last weekend. We got 4 open tournaments and 2 dual meets on our schedule here, all in about 5 to 6 weeks. So we're being a little bit cautious with some injuries, and that's one thing about getting back into a full season like this is you gotta manage some injuries and make sure you're trying to keep everyone healthy. But it'd be fun, have a couple home duels there in December, and then obviously January and February we really start getting into the meat of our conference competition.
Right. When do the actually official conference duel start? Does this one actually count, or which ones start counting?
That Northern State
duel, yeah. Next.
Oh, right away. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So that's our one.
Oh, I see. It says right there, the NSIC right there. Yeah.
Right. So then you don't see that by Mary duel, because that's actually a non-conference duel.
Right. I see that now.
Yeah. The one in Bismarck later on will be our conference duel.
Well, I tell you what, I've looked at your combined record, and you gotta get more than 2 wins this year. Can you do it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's tough. I tell you what, the competition day in, day out in this conference is phenomenal.
Yeah, everyone we're going to see is going to be good, and so we've realized that for a long time, and we definitely want to make some big steps forward here, in our conference, and then the big thing is we gotta, we're really focused on that region tournament and but
Yep.
put as many guys through as possible into the.
You have a super region back in Moorhead. That's kind of cool.
Yep.
I like that.
When we look at that super region, are we kind of back to 3 qualifiers then coming out of the super region? Has that been set? I guess I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, we'll be back. We'll be back to the 3 qualifiers per weight. So
It's good to have that huge number of qualifiers coming out of the best region in the country. Makes it easy.
yeah, it's pretty cut and dry. It's you're gonna have 10 guys in your bracket, and you gotta finish in the top 3. So
Yeah.
it's not easy, but it's simple.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what it takes, but can you get it done?
Right.
Definitely. No, I tell you what, with St. Cloud being in there, every time I turn around, and I went through their roster last week once, and I don't even know how some of those guys can make the team even. And I'm going, they're going to beat up on each other, and I guess the cream rises to the top. But that is a barn burner. Mankato's got a really nice team. Northern State wrestled well last year and was in the mix. In fact, remember conference tie for wins in the duels. How did you pick your dual schedule? Is that a set by the conference?
It is now. We used to do it ourselves, and last year I think was the first year that the conference did that for us. We take certain weekends off, like national duels, and then I think each team gets to pick an off weekend, for non-conference competition and stuff like that. But the conference drafts that out for us.
Mm-hmm.
Is this going to be your first trip to Wisconsin Parkside all the way over to Kenosha?
Yeah, it is.
That's a long trek.
Yeah, that's a long haul. It was almost cheaper to fly there than take a bus out there, but we're going to be able to hit Upper Iowa in that same trip.
Yeah.
Well, explain for everybody else now how it works now for COVID rules, having to be vaccinated now or get tested, so people got an idea at least out there.
Yeah, so our guys who are vaccinated don't have to get tested, and the guys who are competing that are unvaccinated needed a negative test within, I think it's 48 hours of competition. So we're just doing rapid tests here on campus before the bus leaves, and making sure we're good to go. So
okay, and that simplifies things quite a bit. I know that last year I couldn't imagine what you guys are trying to go through. I just shook my head, what they were trying to do, and so you made it through that year.
Yeah, it was tough. It definitely was tough.
Okay. Yeah. So how about this? Let's switch off from your stuff. And Bill, let's talk just one thing. I kind of, just as you were coming off there, I mentioned just a quick segue of us. We had such a great big off season with having the Worlds and having the Olympics and stuff. Bill, let's give your outtake a little bit, and we'll try to get done here in about, I don't know, if we can get done by the hour time. If you're okay with that, Evan, can you stick around? It's 40. Okay. Tell us some stuff, Bill. Let's just start going. Let's go first synopsis of Olympic stuff. Let's start right there, because we were going to kind of do
the Olympics was awesome. I mean, it was. I've never seen an Olympics like it. Right? I mean, none of us ever have. It was. The women kind of kicked it off and had a great tournament. We had, lots of medalists there, lots of fun, lots of excitement. I mean, I would have loved to have seen Adeline Gray, win a gold, but she comes through and she's happier than heck with, placing at the Olympics, and then she followed it up with her 6th gold medal at the World Championships a little while later. And so I just thought that, the women were it was a great show. Great to see everybody. They had 5 medals out of four medals for the women, and then the men had 4 medals, or did they? Yeah, 4 medals also. So they had five wrestlers in the 6 weight classes with 4 medals. Finished off obviously by Gable Stevenson's fantastic match.
I'm going to grab something.
Go ahead.
Right back.
Yep. So, Evan, I guess that kind of brings a question. I know obviously you're a wrestling fan and you follow the Olympics. Is an easy one to say, hey, I watch the Olympics. But I mean, when it comes to things like the cadets or the juniors or the senior worlds, you get to spend much time following that stuff?
Yeah, I do. I do as much as I can. I mean, like you said, there's a lot of wrestling out there. It seems like it's nonstop going on, and I'm definitely my main focus is on my team.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I definitely follow as much of that stuff as I can. It was great watching the Olympics this year, and the Worlds were really fun too. And yeah, I mean, I think American wrestling is in a really good spot, right now. In freestyle, anyways. Obviously, we've got some work to do in Greco-Roman, but our freestyle teams are going to be strong for a long time, and that's exciting.
Yeah, for a really long time. Freestyle is a good spot. But yeah, you're like, if you could come up with the answer for Greco, I think we got a spot for you in Colorado Springs, because that's a challenge. But we did come with a medalist out of the at the World, so that was nice to see. So, but
start,
yeah, yep, it's a start, that's for sure. John's got a chart. I think he's
No, so I got to thank Terry Steiner again. This is still in the hard case, and I was going to bring these out. I have all the Olympic signed posters after the Olympics, and so like this is something if we're going to raise money, I was going to raise some money for some women's wrestling stuff, and of course these are all signed by the Olympians. Terry Steiner came through so we could raise some money if we need to for something. Of course, we got Gable on there. We got everybody. We got Snyder's signature. You got Dake. Can you get any better getting David Taylor, all four of them on there? Gilman is the only one not signed on there, which kind of surprised me. But I have every individual poster signed. That's Mensa Stock. That's Adeline Gray. That's the women all together like this too. I'm not going to bring them all out because they're protected pretty well actually in this thing. And I thought I'd put them away, and I got them here right back behind me. I'm going, what the heck? I'm going, oh no, what the heck did I? And so I did have some people offer some different bids on them, but I kind of was going to wait till everybody had an opportunity to kind of see them. And it's quite the little treasure here. And so I don't know if we want to start a little scholarship for somebody, Dakota Grappler, or do stuff for women's wrestling. And so I will bring those out probably next show. And so I get them all. I was going to get them all put in frames, but then it'd be even harder to mail out, I think, if you put them in frames first. So let people think that stuff through. If anybody has questions on those along the way, I'll set something up, because it's going to be sometime here when we do that as the wrestling season starts here. It goes. That's what I was excited about.
Yeah. So yeah, Evan and I were, we kind of touched on the Olympics and then the Worlds. It was great to see every single one of our Olympians went back and wrestled at the World Championships, with the exception of Gable Stevenson. So, I mean, really came through there strong. Burrows, we get Burrows in the mix with a World Championship at 79 kilos. Yeah, it was really fun to watch. So, our cadets, women and men had a great world tournament. Juniors, women and men had a great tournament. The world championship team trials were really fun to watch. So it just keeps on going and going. But I will say one thing that this week I was actually talking to Andy Hamilton from Flow Wrestling the other night, and I said, the wrestling just keeps coming. We've never really had a bad time, right? We can always kind of keep finding something to follow. But this week, things kind of just got real. I mean, I'm like, man, this week I'm going to go to a D2 duel. I'm going to go to the Bison Open. The high schoolers started. The pit crew kids are registering tonight. I mean, this is wrestling season now. So I watch a lot of wrestling no matter what. But just when you can kind of get into this part of the season, and I know for the guys that are starting at the high school level or starting at college, it's a long grind and it goes on a long time, but I can't get enough. So it's pretty fun.
Ditto. I found the right partner along the way here, Bill.
Yeah.
Because I tell you what, it's like Randy Berwick says in every one of his letters that he sends to me for the book, it's the greatest time of the year. It's wrestling season. Yep. What season is it? Yep. So shout out to Randy. Any major coaching things that you know happening in the conference? Is there any major changes? Real quick, at mine, not again. I was just thinking. I thought there was another change.
Well, we got a new head coach at Southwest Minnesota State, which was Evan's assistant coach that went there. So that was a big move. That actually surprised me a little bit. I thought that, but that's a good hire, I think. And so that's
and people that
nice
don't know, not the same conference, but you got Jamestown got a brand new coach. If people don't know, coming in.
Jimmy Zaleski's, and he's kind of jumped right into the community. Came up, did a clinic here at in the Carrington, for our young guys, and he's had some clinics they've had going on at the University of Jamestown. I think he was at the coaches clinic at NDSU. So good, what we were hoping would happen when we get a wrestling mind like that into the area, that he's gonna jump in and share that knowledge, and it's really quite a gift for us to have. So,
you haven't had an opportunity to ask him about fishing or nothing, Bill?
No, I haven't. We talked a little bit. I think he was pretty busy this summer trying to get settled, and then before you knew it, it was wrestling season. Once they got on campus, I'm sure it's just like Evan. They got, and he's trying to get his. What these coaches go through is pretty amazing when it comes to trying to get a team ready to get on the map, plus trying to all the recruiting done this time of year.
Mm-hmm. I had one more major question I had on my list here for you, Evan. What does it mean this year for having that extra year eligibility for your guys?
Well, it means something a little different to each person, each individual. So like we do have a guy returning for his 6th year, Keegan Barry, at 184, and he intended on wrestling for 4 years in a row and being done and never redshirting, and he did. He stepped right into our lineup for 4 years in a row, and started out his 4th year and had an injury and had to have surgery, and came back, got that medical hardship waiver, and came back his 5th year, and then that's a COVID year, and so now here he is, trying to put it together for one more season, and so like for him, for him to stay and continue to go to school, he had to start grad school. So he's in graduate school now. We've got, I think, 4 guys on the team that are in graduate school right now, and so next year we're gonna look to have Keegan, back as a graduate assistant, as he's finishing that up. So it means something a little bit different. Some of our guys, to pick a North Dakota guy, Kelby Armstrong came in last year, got to have a lot of experience getting into our starting lineup, right off the bat as a true freshman, and it didn't count towards his eligibility. So, he was one where he got that great experience of competing and got the dual meet experience and got that region tournament experience without that counting, as a year for him, and then, you could also look back, like, the national tournament that was canceled. We had Dean Arabalo there, and he went 4 years in a row. His 4th year nationals gets canceled, and he's done. He didn't get any eligibility back. So, it kind of, it went both ways. But, for the your typical guy that's a sophomore or junior, it was a free year for him. So, does that answer your question?
Oh, that was a great answer, because I look at it in a lot of different ways. I see it really tough for this freshman class coming in. They have to come into a group that's going to be way more experienced than them. And I'm hoping it doesn't knock some people out that should stick in the program. Because there are some guys, I remember, I thought I was pretty salty coming as a freshman, and those seniors took it to me, and the older ones. And it's tough on those young guys. And last year, not having that team culture also, where you could, because that's every team. I talked to many, many coaches, and they say, guess what? We couldn't have our whole groups together. We had these little pods, we had little things, and the culture wasn't how they wanted it. So I'm in my heart, I'm hoping, I feel that you don't lose some of those fringe wrestlers that should be there. And I see someone like Iowa who has everybody back. Of course, get my Iowa hat here. They have everybody back. And so everybody's shooting for them, and it's great as a fan. But then I also look at their recruiting class, and I think they could recruit better. I think they also lost some wrestlers because they didn't lose places. They didn't open some holes where they probably should have. So I thought that they missed 2-3 great recruits, which I would thought was going there. And so maybe it benefits other people more than it does those schools like Iowa. Penn State got somebody to come in. You know, got Max Dean going over there. You know, that also changed the philosophy in wrestling a little bit, where now you can start almost picking and choosing in colleges. And I'm not sure if I like that so much, but I guess, you know, because
it's, you know, and then
that's a different level.
The whole transfer portal thing now has been really interesting. And so, you know, it's all kind of come together at the same time. But yeah, freshmen are going to have to be patient. And, you know, I mean, of course, now we got to go back to deciding if they're going to redshirt or not redshirt. And so, but either way, I think, you know, they're going to have to be patient, you know, and our freshmen had a really good outing last week in Jamestown. But, you know, it's going to be a little bit different going to the Bison Open and getting a 6th-year senior from Minnesota first round or whatever. So,
right. And people underestimate having what I call student athletes, the ones that are real good students and can still participate. You know, it's such a benefit as a coach to not have to, hey, you got to get to class, you know, that type of thing. You know?
Yeah, that's something we really have had to focus on and fix. You know, I think my first year here, we were just over that 2.0 mark. And, you know, last year, I think we were 12th in the nation with a 3.219.
Look at my poster behind me. Yeah.
So no, that's one. I mean, there's always going to be guys on your team that you gotta, you know, school just doesn't come as easy for them. And, so, you know, there's always going to be guys that have to work a little bit harder at it. It's no different in wrestling. Some guys have more talent and some guys have to work a little bit harder to get to that same level. But, yeah, it's, you know, our guys have been doing a really good job as students, and that sure takes a lot of stress off a wrestling coach for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So, Bill, tell us how many guys signed up for your little kids wrestling today.
I wasn't there, so I don't know. I
thought that's where you were at.
No, I wasn't. I was getting some chores done and just kind of lost track of time. So, but yeah, I don't know. I would assume they had a pretty good turnout. They generally do. Hopefully it'll be. You
got lots of dogs right now?
I've got a few. Yeah, I got a few.
Well, tell me some numbers.
Oh no, we don't talk about numbers.
Okay.
We don't count those things. We got a little weather moving in, so I just had to make sure everybody had fresh straw in the boxes and get everybody battened down. And tomorrow's going to be kind of a quick day. As soon as we get home from work, we're going to take off, head to Aberdeen, watch Northern State and Concordia wrestle, and so
military appreciation tomorrow night.
It is, yeah,
big day there.
Yeah,
you know,
be a fun day.
Salute or shout out to all our service members. I tell you what, I'm very proud to have family members that have been in the service, and it's a great day tomorrow. So happy to give them a thumbs up for all they do for us. Definitely. Yeah. So we're getting close to that hour. Bill, any news you want to bring up? I want to bring up one high school news thing, and then we're going to schedule our next show for next week. Here's one for you, Evan, that I don't know that you know, but we now have a new Class A team in the state. Did you know that?
Oh.
Well, officially and kind of not officially, but it's official. But we have a new co-op in Class A.
Okay.
It's Breckenridge Wahpeton.
Oh, I guess I did hear that one.
Okay. There. And so, but what's interesting is everyone keeps it so as Wahpeton, but people don't realize Breckenridge has got a rich history, and it's not a small town. And opening up the doors for this co-op for having, across borders could be interesting in the state. I'm not sure if they're opening up something that they don't want to open up. And so I really question it inside my own mind, and I want to figure this out. It brings Wahpeton has been kind of down a little bit when it talks to overall numbers and everything else, and it kind of works out well. But, I think in the right situation, it's going to be great for Wahpeton. But let's see how it works for the rest of the state. Minnesota just lost the team. And that makes a difference in that Class A level. They did have a state finalist last year. off that Breckenridge team. And so if people didn't know that out there, it's kind of interesting. I know Randy Berwicks wanted to add Lemon for a while, and I'm pretty sure they kind of said, and it's not going to happen. So they did have Hillsborough combined with Central Valley a couple of years ago, but that was not like a hotbed that was just of wrestling or nothing, or someplace that already had established wrestling, kind of do with their kids program. So I'll have to call the High School Activities Association, kind of ask some people and see kind of their process and what they did. And so I don't know, what do you feel about that, Bill, a little bit?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I heard the discussion of it possibly happening, and I probably just missed it a little bit, but I was obviously incorrect.
It didn't really hit the news.
And yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you, if it helps bring more competition into the state at the Class A level, I'm all for it. Minnesota's got enough teams. Let's add a few more good wrestlers into our state and see how it shakes out. I think it'll be fun. It'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, more power in the East. That's good. Sometimes you need that. The West has been pretty dominant for a while. Maybe we can make a new thing out there. West Fargo.
I'm not sure that's going to tip the balance right away, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. And the other thing is, as I get all these coaches things, people aren't very open on where kids are wrestling at. But, I want to give a shout out to Mr. Hoos from Bismarck High, who got injured pretty seriously. And he's hoping he could come back. So I want to give him a shout out and thumbs up at all the work it's going to take to come back. And if he can make it, more power to him, returning state champion, great, tough kid. And, has an opportunity to do something special if you can get back on the mat. I think of Dusty Swanson, kind of the same type of thing. I don't know if you remember that. Dusty pretty well, Forde.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know Dusty's situation as much, but I know he had that kind of calf issue, the same type of thing. I don't know if it was a compartment syndrome or what it was. I should almost have Dusty on sometime to talk about that too. Until I get more information, I'll talk to him and maybe get him on as an interview and see what kind of motivation he has. I'd love to see him get an opportunity to wrestle again, but his senior year, it's pretty tough. Not that Bismarck High needs more tough wrestlers, but again, like we said.
Hey, that's good. Yeah, I love watching him wrestle. So I obviously hope he can come through that and get back on the mat.
Definitely. Okay. Well, any last words, Mr. Forde, for tonight? And I enjoy that. I want to thank you for coming on. Anytime we can promote college wrestling and get you some time, feel free to come on. I have no problem. We'll start doing a lot of these. And
yeah. Thanks for having me back. And it's that time of year, so we're gonna have you guys will have lots to talk about each week from here on out.
Yeah. Now, not that I was prepared to get new questions this year, but did I have you do my quick fire questions in the past?
I'm not sure.
Okay, well, let's do the quick fire to end this out.
All
okay,
right.
So quick fire questions. Here's the first question for you, and usually there's just quick answers. What is it like to be coached by you, if asked by one of your wrestlers?
Intense.
Okay. Whoops, I put this side one more. That's the quick fire questions. Powerade or Gatorade?
Gatorade.
What color?
I don't know. Blue.
A blue one. Okay.
Here, I'm trying to remember if we're a Powerade or a Gatorade school now.
Oops, sorry about that. Popsicles or dilly bars?
Popsicles.
Okay. 3 characteristics that all wrestlers need to have.
Commitment, work ethic, and passion.
Very good. Mama's boy or rebel?
Rebel.
Fast-paced or consistently slow?
Fast-paced, definitely.
Are you a physical or mental athlete?
Mental.
And how about as a coach would you want to have?
Mental.
Favorite holiday?
4th of July.
Dan Gable or Cale Sanderson?
I'd say Sanderson.
Ooh, you're actually one of the rare ones. That's pretty good. I'd like to be a fly on the wall in that room.
Me too.
Favorite number?
40.
That's a good one.
Okay, that's pretty good. Usually what's funny is most wrestlers say 2 for takedown.
Yeah.
Best wrestler you've ever wrestled?
Kyle Dake.
Ooh, when did you wrestle him?
It was kind of a funny story. I think I was second year of college. Wrestled. I made the finals in Greco in Vegas it was the field of juniors back then, and I lost to a high school kid that I hadn't heard of before, and so I was pretty angry. And then, of course, he turns out to be Kyle Dake, and he won nationals last year as a freshman. So I was all right with it.
It's not a bad loss.
That's not bad at all. Any habit you learned in wrestling that you still do today?
Appreciate drinking water.
That is one that I answer. I get up and I still drink water fountain like it's going out of style. Definitely. Swamp People, Survival, or The Voice?
Survivor, I guess.
You're not a singer?
No, I like the music.
Well, that is the quick pace, fast paced response answers for today. Just get a little questions that we like to just give rapid fire, get some personality outside of the coaches. I do appreciate it. Well, thanks again, Evan. You have a great season. I will catch you out there. I just hope that everything goes great and we have this clear season. And, I'm looking so forward to just getting closer to normal. Bill?
Me too.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to making it to Minot for a couple duels. I know I'll make it to a few, so it'll be exciting to get up there in the dome and watch those guys compete. And I'm going to get to see them this weekend, so that's going to be better yet. But we're gonna be following all these NSIC teams and as closely as I can, like I always have. So it'll be fun.
Well, I will probably not make it to Fargo, and I'm not going to give all my reasons out there to everybody else. But I think Bill and Mr. Forde know, but we'll see how it goes. I'm hoping to get out there in the near future. Got a little injury we'll talk about later. But last words, Evan, for inspiration for anybody out there?
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on, and it's fun as usual, and it's going to be a good season.
Okay. Well, go Beavers.